morning, good evening, good afternoon. May Jesus Christ bless you. Right. Little disclaimer. I apologise if I don't respond to anyone. I'm doing these things as I've got spare time whilst I'm driving. I just don't have spare time at present, and the clock's ticking, and the season's wait for no one, and up against it at the moment, trying to get my assignment fulfilled for the Lord, where every minute counts. So, thank you if you comment. And it's not me being rude if I don't reply, I just don't have time at present. This is why as there's lessons to pass on, I'll pass them on. But on a later date, when life settles down, if it ever does, maybe able to communicate then. Anyway, let's get to it. How does God move mountains? But also, in regards to how does God move mountains, the perspective that we may be looking at things can sit within reason, season, and why. And I got a mountain. It's an engineering nightmare that I've been suffering with for the last 3 months. And yesterday I came up against it, and 2 attempts and failed the pair of them. And it's not because what I've personally done is incorrect. The lifting implements on the machine aren't strong enough. So, winter crops. So the sun's coming in. Winter crops. So I've got a canal that I've got to get a piece of machinery across, but this canal provides drinking water for about 500,000 people. And the bridges, some of them are 150 years of age, and they've got weight limits. And half the damn bridges are only just wide enough for like a tractor to get across, not machinery. So I've got one bridge that I can get one of my earth moving pieces of equipment over. It's overkill. Besides from that though, the bridge that I've got to use at present, I can only get trailers and tractors over just. And so anything that I've got to get over has to go on sideways on the trailer and be towed over, because the trailer and whatever I put on the trailer will sit within the weight limits of what the bridge can cope with. So, what I'm dealing with at the moment is a seed drill. And I didn't think it'd be that much, because I'm looking at it thinking, look, there's not that much steel in this. But I think the thing's as heavy as a car, unfortunately. And it's too wide for all the bridges. And a bit of a backstory. Here in Oz, we had floods take out all of our crossings. And so the main bridge that I could get over, flood blew out the crossing, and it's going to take 6 months to repair this crossing that it blew out, and there's been a landslip that's happened with it, big flood. We're talking it raised 20-30 metres up in this creek that it flew through, and it just wiped the crossing out. And with the crossing, the drainage that was underneath it, the pipes are nearly 3 metres in diameter, hey? So we're talking big water. Just sticks and logs and everything else obviously backed it up like a bath plug and just blew it out. Anyway, so left the crossings alone for now and just accepting that we've got to use the one bridge. But the one bridge, it takes 45 minutes to get down to the back of the bloody farm now. You know what I mean? So when you've got to float a piece of equipment from the machinery yard down to the back of the farm, if you don't get it right, well, there's a day gone. And at the moment, I don't have minutes to spare, let alone hours or days. So the fact that yesterday I failed, you've got to think quickly, so you need a growth mindset, and you've got to be prepared to be able to accept where are my shortcomings at all times. But typically the shortcoming, and this is what I want to talk about in this video right now, where do your shortcomings sit if you've had a failure? It's not that it's a shortcoming per se, more than if you're trying to do something, there's every chance that you are looking at it from a perspective of like taking all things into account, where you're thinking, if I do it this way this year, it's possible to duplicate this and extend it this way next year. So where I've been at with my thinking with what it is that I'm up to is like, look, I've got the machinery to like move this thing, but it's no good to me because I can't rely on this machinery that I've got to use it each year, because it's like going at four-wheel driving and going, rightio, we're going to use four-wheel drive low for everything. No. If you got to use it, you got to use it. So we're coming back to how does God remove the obstacle? So for me, I came up against it yesterday. The hydraulics and the forks that I were using, they're just not strong enough. This new seed drill that we've got, brand spanker, it just won't get off the ground. So, look, I've got a front end loader, it's about 18 odd tonne. That's what I say, see, overkill just there. And I'll just something quick for you. So I had all the lifting straps. I went to the shop to get the lifting straps to make the lift yesterday. And junior staff, I guess, or senior staff, I'm not quite sure, but someone just threw the products in. I needed 4 straps that were 3 metres long. When I needed it most, I ended up having one that was 2 metres and 3 that were 3 metres, you know. It's just, I ended a bugger when the wrong products ends up in the wrong shelf. Anyway, so we've got to check our products before we take them away, especially if we're, you know, time sensitive. So now, fix that little problem now. Got the strap that we need, and I've gone the soft straps because I don't want to do any damage to the paint or the structural integrity of the machine itself. You know, fascinating that fabric cloths can carry tons. Anyway, back to it. So, my failure, because I've been sitting there thinking it's always been whirling in the background because I knew that I'd hit this point soon. I've got about 150 acres that I've got to put crop into, but I can't get to it because we had our main crossing blowout. And so I was saying, if I destroy the bridge, well, there's a much bigger problem in the crop that we're going to have to suffer, which is, you know, that's what I was saying, like the $1 million a minute issues that we suffer. I've got a few of those that I've got to be mindful of. Yeah? Anyway, so structural integrity is important when it comes to the engineering side of things. Now, yesterday, and it takes an hour and a half to set the thing up to do a lift. And then if the lift doesn't work, you've then got to pull it apart and have a look at, well, why does the lift not work? And anyway, I had 2 attempts and the lift failed twice, and it allowed me to see that the hydraulics of the machine that I was using weren't strong enough. So I wasn't even contemplating the earth-moving equipment at the time, because I was like, how does that serve me? And I was sitting there thinking to myself, well, what am I going to do now? Do I actually go and, you know, because that's something that's missing on the farm, and it's going to have to be dealt with. I'm going to have to build a ramp that's the exact height of the trailer that I've got, so I can just drive it alongside it and then back stuff on it. And the reason why you need to have it the exact height is so that it hooks straight onto the tractor with the hydraulics, and you just drive on and drive off, and there's not too much hassle. Anyway, so I got told yesterday that a door was going to open up, and it was the failure that it took for me to have the door open up, because I had to see the bigger picture at the moment, and God understands it as well as I understand it. We are against the pump at the moment. We're against the season, and the season is running out, and you know, next year I'm going to start a month early. But I was finishing off a centre pivot this year, so it is what it is. So, my reason season why, how did God remove my mountain today? Reason season why was, my thinking was sitting within, how do I systemize a process in order to be able to duplicate it and create an annual event out of it? You know, my little gypsy camp that I like to move along from paddock to paddock. That ain't going to happen this year. So sometimes you've got an emergency, and when you've got an emergency, you need four-wheel drive load. So today I'm getting out the front end loader, the old 18-ton one, and I'm going to lift that seed drill onto the float, and I'm going to tow it down there. See, it has to go onto the float no matter what, because it's got to go across the canal sideways because the bridges aren't wide enough. So that's a conundrum that can't be avoided. And you'd be like, well, how am I going to get the earth moving equipment over the other side of the canal? Well, here's the thing. There's a crossing, and it's going to be, I say, like a double-edged sword. I've driven this machine down this crossing before. It's steep. The way you got to go down steep crossings is you've got to use your bucket as brakes. Anyway, so we're like 200 or 300 horsepower or something. I mean, it's not massive, but like they're a beast. You know, big turbo-driven monsters. Anyway, so I just wanted to quickly talk about this now. Sometimes you've got to go into a four-wheel drive. And if you're feeling stuck at this moment in regards to some particular task that you can't figure out where does the conundrum lay, for me, my initial thoughts were, yesterday, when the hydraulics didn't work twice on the machine I was using to try and make the lift, was do I go and build those ramps now? But that's days worth of work. It's like, we don't have days, so sometimes the mountain that God will move will be the perspective that you need to use the big gear and get it done. I don't want to rely on that big gear annually, because it's just, it's like, it's not fair to the process, really. Ultimately, that big gear needs to be used to be rebuilding the crossing, and just that'll happen when there's time to do that. But for now, I'm saying I'm taking a gamble, but it's going to be a pretty hairy day, and I'm going to pull out all the stops, and there will be a result. There'll be a victory, without a doubt. I'm sure of that. But what does it mean? Typically, you're only working about 50 or 60%. You've always got that thing that will get you over the line if you need it. It's just, you'll be thinking that that's no good to me because it doesn't serve the purpose of the system-wise process. So sometimes we've got to get out of our own way, being a little bit conservative. That's how the Lord has helped me to remove my mountains today, because I couldn't see that I needed to use that machine, and I've been shown the path and the track and the way to do it and all the rest of it. And it's a day lost, but a day gained at the same time. See, I've got to put the quad bikes, pigeon trailers, people let go of 100 pigeons, so we're on the side of the road now. You have to load quad bikes in the buckets of these machines, and like you've got to take it to a specific location, and then you've got to sit it there and jump on the bike and ride back, and like, these tasks that I'm dealing with at the moment, I've typically got 5 to 6 machines running in different spots, and I've got to run between them and adjust things, and it's just, as the Lord would say, we're in a league of our own. People get frustrated and intimidated, and like they want to speak death over your life, but they just forget that like you come from a different cloth. And for me, this isn't hard, as much as it is annoying that there's just no help. And that's not like an over-independent spirit saying, well, I'll just do it myself. It's not that. It's just, it's hard to find good help nowadays. And because it is, it's very easy to find it with a set of hydraulics, a bucket, or a machine. Anyway, I'll let you know how this one pans out. I just wanted to sort of put into perspective here, how can God help you to move a mountain? What are you working on right now where your compassion to the scenario may be that you're trying to create a system that functions from beginning to end, and you're not wanting to go outside of the equipment that should be used for that. Do you have something available that is beyond that could just get it done for now? For myself, my creative thought was stuck within using this big thing is no good for me because I don't want to rely on that. But do you have an emergency? Sometimes when you've got an emergency, you got to get the big gear out just to get the job done. Sometimes you just got to get it done. And that's what the Lord has let me know this year. This is not a year to create systems, it's a year to get it done. So sometimes you've got to remove all the stops and just do what needs to be done. Do what you've got to do to get it done, and then just get on with it. Anyway, I hope this helps you. May Jesus Christ bless you. Have a good day. Bye for now.